With the Ashvini twins, you have all that. A horse's face is the symbol of that nakshatra, and just a lot of horsepower. The first pada is about being goal-oriented, so very much team leader, but team player. And then you get into gymnastic energy and dance energy. You have you've got some doctor energy, some medical energy in there. You have the friction of the battery energy and the magnet energy of the positive and negative polarities, okay? So there could be a question is, what is this pentacle? I guess there's not much mystery to it. We can't say necessarily, or it'll fudge it up. And it involves other people. And if we say too much, then the eye in the sky that's watching and the ears that are listening, they get involved and they can derail a thing. That's why there's a level of mystery to this. Okay. Burani is ruled by Yama, or it's dedicated to Yama, who helps people pass between worlds. And he actually will take you to heaven or hell. But this is hell as far as I'm concerned. Attached to that is Kali. The Burani Nakshatra in particular, which is based off the ass of Aries, Ram. There's a few extra stars around it, and that forms the Burani Nakshatra, which is the symbol of a vagina, actually, of a yoni. The birth of all things, the birth of all things, the birth of all things. But it comes with a lot of enemy energy and a lot of delay energy. So anything that's is being done here is under attack, is being pushed towards failure. Direct opposition is Chitra over here. Chitra is known for epic legal battles. But we also have, because it comes with the energy of the forbidden path. Okay. Let's get into, well, I would like the compassion. Who needs the compassion? It's going to be tied to this truth. And I really feel like I can't say more about it at this point. We have compassion up here. And that might have everything to do with this pentacle and the security. Three-eyed raven. We still want to know what this three-eyed raven. The messenger. Well, it's going to have everything to do with that situation. So prepare for the unexpected. Okay. I'm going to switch over. Let's get into, because this is reversed, and I feel like it has everything to do with this situation then, right? Clearly the manifestation has everything. Yep, all about the manifestation. I almost want to say that this sword could possibly be, right? Like, could it connect over here? Let's find out. This is Mel's Aboriginal Spirit Oracle. And this is Mel. Just the power coming through is insane. So I'll hold the card up, and what I'll do, I will hold it. I'm almost tempted to hold it upside. Actually, yeah, it's in that energy. I'm gonna hold it upside down. Okay. Deception can be defined as the intended act to mislead someone through trickery and fraud. In many situations, this may be the case. However, do not forget to acknowledge the deception that can be the misunderstanding of oneself. Sometimes we may think we understand or know a situation only to discover our intuition. And intuition means either, intuition's a non-word. It's a word that means knowing something without knowing how you know it. which is really another way of saying usually psychic. Either that, or we know exactly how our mind arrives at things. And it's either us, our minds, having done the work, the problem solving, and carrying the concept within us, and arriving at, revealing the concept with work and time, or somebody told us something, or somebody told us something psychically. Yeah? Which means there's more than one way to be misdirected. So only to discover that we knew the real truth all along. Sometimes we may think we understand or know a situation, only to discover we knew the real truth all along. Often it is distrust in ourselves that is the biggest deception of all. Merely by being in this prison planet, I would say. The sharp learning curve. Okay. War and deception is raging around you. Wow. How many kinds is the question. It feels like it's been ages since peace has surrounded you, and you may be feeling traumatized by your constant use of survival tactics. Time to take control and call a truce. Take a breath and take some time out. This is one occasion when turning the other cheek is not in your best interest. Interesting. Call a truce, but turning the cheek is not in your best interest. This is a time to stand up and be counted. You do need to fight this one, not literally, but strategically. Use this time to recharge your batteries and plan a strategic defense. Put your defensive plan in action and put an end to this madness and move on with more important things in your life, like looking after you. Wow. Stand up and be counted. You do need to fight this one, not literally, but strategically. Right, so you need to... The survival instincts are there for a reason, coming to a point. So I feel like that Ace of Swords is right there. And looking after you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I love the clarity like that. And when I need to say, like, when I get it, like, they have put me in very awkward situations. These ancestors, this God, her God, her people, her wording, very strong wording, very gentle cards and very strong wording. And she's put me in they do not hold back in personal readings. And first readings with people. Like they know I'll go there. They know I want those cards. So manifestation. So I really, it just comes, it runs right through my body every time. Like before I even pick up the book. I don't even question how strong any of her readings are going to come through me. Manifestation is just a new name for principles that have been practiced for thousands of years and used across many realms. Whether it's, just a new name. Yeah. Whether it's praying to the gods for a good harvest or making a totem for good luck or protection, it's all the same thing. It's about creating an outcome you desire. Whether manifesting is created by ceremony, ritual, or by putting the thought out to the universe, it's just simply a different path to the same destination and a different name for an ancient practice. You have the power to manifest your future, what you do want now, for tomorrow, and for next year. It's time to look deep within and decide what it is you want for yourself. You possess the power to manifest what you need. You know you can, but rarely do you stop to think about how things always arrive in the nick of time. Oh, that nick of time. Oh, that nick of time that is that temperance. I don't know, with those two wands there. Thinking. And this arriving in the nick of time is what we start off with the 6 cups and the pentacle. And the fact you have no choice is the Queen of Wands. Or is the Queen of Wands control? No, Wands is you. You have little regard for how it actually happens, but now it's time to be a little more precise with what you want and how you will get it. Oh, okay. So where they're going with this is, we know it's real. We feel like we have no control in it because we don't often enough. So how to be an active player in it. How to be an active participant. This is your wish card. Make your wish and watch it happen. Imagine your fairy godmother standing before you, wand raised, waiting to grant you your wish. What will it be? And we've got all the chakras there, of course. Where on this temperature gauge? So, the crossroads. This is your wish card. Does that mean that this pentacle is undefined and this giving of it to you is dependent on what you... Interesting how we have... So we do have the Scorpio energy with the independence. Something is in your power, at least. This Page of Wands divided between... Oh, what will it be? Oh, and I leave the camera unfocused, I'm sorry. What will it be for this? Yeah, okay. Well, let's... Okay, before I... It's going to come back to that, though, isn't it? The relationship of being the participant, and the trust issues around that. Balanced with the power that you need to exert over here. So these two things, yes, it's like the attack, because you've reached that level of power. I do believe in attacks. Believe in them. I suffer them all the time. Okay, so yeah, okay. Okay. Phoenix cards. Blessed Susan. Okay. Now what she does, and now I'm extremely familiar with this card by now. Third time reading it this week. But I'll show you what she does. But you know, it takes on different tones with each read, because y'all are needing it in different ways. But this is how she does, and it doesn't have to be past life energy, but consider it if it rings true for you. Otherwise, ancestral or geographic or cultural, yeah. No Mars position, but we can always arrive at our own Mars position. I'm not sure. I'm sure she explains why, and I haven't gone through all of the book yet. I absolutely will. I am a book person, so is Kali. Kali loves books. I believe so did the Orisha. The Orisha did a lot of creative writing with me. That's how I started to know it with them. They started putting stories in my head that I had to write out. It was like basically a psychological exercise as a story experience. Okay, in the Sun position, which I would put as your triggers and instincts. And right now the Sun's in Pisces. And Virgo. What are Virgo's instincts? Well, it depends. It's going to be different for everybody, right? You're going to look at where your Sun... Okay. Depends if you're a Virgo Sun or where your Sun is. And right down to the specific Pada of the specific Nakshatra. Okay, this is a 10 also of completion. And a 1, yes, of starting fresh. So the trigger could be around finishing and starting, yeah? You're becoming more intensely aware of building a foundation for the rest of your life. Traditional values seem worthy of your respect. So this manifestation is a traditional value. You're weary of the tentative or free-floating feelings of the last few years. And if we bring in the war, the fight, you know, all that around it. In order for a tree to flower and grow, it must have strong roots. This is a good time to search out the wisdom of your parents or ancestors. Although mistakes may have been made, now is the time to break the cycle of negativity and wipe the slate clean. Learn to reconcile the conflicting forces within you without paradox. Truth cannot be found. So the conflicting, so between the survival and the power. Being at the receiving end versus being at, you know, and the flow of that. The flow of that with the Temperance card. Stepping into power and then being active in power and then receptive in power. Which would be all about triggers and instincts. Even the sun position, like how the sun affects you during the day. If you get triggered into an anxiety attack or something, can you just rest and stop and wait? And it could be absolutely just the phase of the sun in the day. So let's move to the moon position, which in Vedic astrology and Jyotish, it would be considered the way your mind works. And for me, it is your conscience. If we're in the moon position, if this resonates, there's a strong need to seclude yourself. You may get a strange, lonely, resonant, and distant feeling about others during this period. Dissonant, I would say then. Your family calls upon you for help, but you feel compelled to retreat. Your soul radiates the impression that you must be alone. However, turn the page. It's most important right now for you to immerse yourself in being a member of your tribe. Well, if it's time to stand and be counted and just to take a little while to get your bearings, to say what you need to say. So that's what's, okay, so we have, yeah, I'm getting clearer and clearer as I don't clear the, okay, this whole situation between being the Virgo Knight of Pentacles with the Independence and proving yourself to everyone, and this path that you're on, which is a master path, yes, and I'm putting it where you can't see it anyway. The master path of the Queen of Wands, where you don't have a choice. Here you have independence, okay? Time Lord, yes, active participant as the Time Lord of Virgo, like Doctor Who-ish stuff, right? Versus, yes, interesting. That is not even, how could that be easy and yet necessary? Because you still have to be your own person, committed to this your way. I need to buy new batteries. Okay. So yes, how to go back into the group. How to go back into the group. Let's go to the Mercury position. Your mind and imagination. Your mind is your imagination as far as I'm concerned. But how you problem solve. Creative thinking. Your concepts that come with you. Okay, refocus. You're now showing interest in personal history and family traditions. You seek to evaluate the wisdom and learning of those who have gone before you. Probably figure out who's taking a part in your life, yeah. The mind takes an inward turn and you're focusing on your own point of view. It's hard for you to understand the depth and complexity of your feelings. To solve this problem, it would be beneficial to turn your attention back to the interests you held as a small child. Here's where your heart and mind will find harmony and truth. Oh, here, okay, so that's where it's possible that this this whole situation, these 6 cups, right? This childhood energy and the 6 cups and your guides and this ability here and the steadiness, all the security. So remember, that's second house. For me, that's how you come into this world. You ground into the magic of this matrix, where the physical is so messed up with the spiritual, right? So like there's who you are in first house in spirit, basically, right? Personality and everything. And then there's how it manifests into the, when you ground into, when you come into the womb, when you become the baby and the person in the family, in the, you know, the structure, all the unfairness and all the vulnerability, yeah? So that, okay, to get specific about this independence, because that's the unique mess, yeah? And there is the childhood energy of those 6 cups. Okay. All right. Loaded messages. So, and the actions that seem unrelated, but they're not related. So there's this bridging. Ah! Ta-da! That's why this Page of Wands is bridging. Okay? It's all that... Okay. Okay. And again... So this is almost like this... Yeah, spirit family. The loss of the spirit family. Jeez. Okay. So yes. Pause to do something. I'm trying to remember what. I need to pause for... Oh, supper time. Right. Okay. In the Venus position, so your appetites, attractions, your needs, right? You're feeling the need to maintain a long-standing secure relationship. Choosing the Jukun Akuma mask indicates a period of settling in. You've become tired of the chase. You currently desire a relationship that's more secure and substantial. You're beginning to put things in order. Intimate involvements will be approached with more depth and stability than passion right now. Be careful not to mother or smother your mate, or father your mate for that matter, child or friend at this time. Give them room. Everyone will appreciate it in the long run. I think, yeah, with this card, we're working our way towards the crux of what this card can reference. But personal rights, but ancestral pain. And I'm just thinking about what I've been thinking about right before coming back into this. I just need to put the book down. Sorry if I'm dragging this out for you. But this whole situation over here, right? With, now do I have it in focus? Let me pull it up. Like this whole situation, which is so much, and we've got that, the Queen and the King there. The clouds are over for the King. The confusion. Normally the clouds here mean, you know, like there's trouble. And it affects the surrounding cards in a regular Lenormand reading, and in any Lenormand reading for that matter. And it's interesting that they pair the clouds with the King of Wands. The King of Wands who knows the direction and the purpose. So that's not a Knight of Wands coming in and out. Like that's a full partnership. That's a full partnership. But then in comes this compassion, this Scorpio compassion. It came out in this order. It came out in that order. And again, all that 7 energy. That 7 energy and 6. The gift. So is the gift something to do... We have this beginning and ending, so we have the 6 with this king. Does that mean that with the right amount of compassion? I don't want to project onto the situation, but then we have this whole situation and anchoring yourself. You know what I want to do? This Queen of Pentacles that doesn't have, that has a charted life, yeah? And this commitment, this Ace of the start of a new commitment and anchoring, that proving yourself to yourself. And then obviously all that balance of, yeah, the conflicting emotions. Trusting yourself. So there's like a certain amount of self-awareness that's having to happen here, that because of this power, certainly it would have brought everything, it would have got ahead of any number of sophisticated people. They've all got room already. So then how do we come back to that? Or do they already have room, or is that a thing that needs to happen? Okay. One thing I wanted to do, the 9 of Swords. See here, here's the 9 of Swords, and this is my uneven chart. This is the sidereal season. I have the tropical season faintly in with the months here, okay? This one actually needs to be modified so that the Aquarius ends more towards the 12th of March, so it needs to come up a ways. I've edited other versions of this chart. Haven't printed them yet though. So this king and queen, like they're still gonna, I modify 8, 9, 10 of Swords for me because of 11th house. And there's this split between king and queen, and just because that's how I do anything with them. But it falls right in this chaos magic star. The 8-pointed star is the chaos magic star. And chaos magic can be good or bad. It depends on who's using it, right? Any technology can be used any which way. But that's where the 9 of stars, the 9 of stars, the 9 of Swords falls. When I modify it, it's going to come over more into, and then we've got Shada Bisha there, don't we? Right now in the old one, so it's going to come over to about the 2nd Pada of Shada Bisha. So if we get a little specific here to see if that works, that's the one I haven't finished yet. I do know what it stands for. I've got a shorthand for that. And it's all to do with the circuitry. It's all to do with being a conduit. And what kind of a conduit you are for a certain kind of energy that's going to flow through you. It's very specific to Aquarius. It's very specific to, like, that's part of the whole technology aura of that part of the zodiac. And so there's an electromagnetic current that runs through you, and depends on whether or not you're good at being grounded, or if you know, there are different kinds of conduits and different kinds of circuits, obviously, but different kinds of, if you look up conduits, there are different ways, and conduits case, they're a casing for the wiring, yeah? And there can be like metal, and it can be flexible, it can be really hard so that it can be outdoors. There are conduits for indoors, and then there are circuits that are open. There's actually a star circuit, a delta, and a delta star circuit. So if we go to circuits and how closed they are or open, and what what shapes they take. But if you look up star circuit, I don't know that I'm going to guess that maybe that applies to this energy right here. So what kind of conduit are you? How does the energy flow through you? Whether or not that's a placement in, well, it's a placement in everybody's chart. It depends on how it's accented in your chart. You have a whole chart. So, yeah, where do you go? Anyway, okay, moving on. But that's something to do with it, because that's, those 9 swords are attached to that anchor, right? So if you get the energy flow right, become the right conduit, then you're anchored. But there's that level of awareness there, and the wavelength. You need to get your wavelength, right? Because you're electromagnetic. Okay. Then you have to blend your wavelength with their wavelengths. And if they don't know, if they're not into this and they're not entirely sure of their wavelengths, then it's harder and harder to blend. But you do have, okay, yep. So let's, but you can see where I'm going with that, and there's an emphasis on that. So if we move into even the sort of the mature female energy of Saturn, for me, that's very much what Saturn's about. And then we've got your fears, boundaries, and calculated risks. Let's see if it's more about the fear, the boundary, or the calculated risk. I feel like calculated risks are a really significant thing right now. It's important that you define your objectives and ambitions, right? With a siren outside. You can sense the need for a new order in your home environment and may feel an obligation to family members. This is a good time to build a strong foundation and recognize the true intent of your past motives. Okay, so, yeah, okay, shut up, Kristen. Okay. You may feel as though you've been living in a dream world for the past 2 or 3 years. The sad, wistful feeling you're experiencing will soon come to an end. Avoid the temptation to put things off. It's possible to waste your entire life in procrastination. Or fear, more to the point. I think, what's the procrastination from? The fear. Okay, so absolutely with this, yeah, and if we're looking at that deception energy, right? I'm trying not to refocus because I want to carry on with the book. But with the manifestation, of course, we're making something extremely real, and therefore, you might be paralyzed. That Page of Wands might actually be paralyzed as much as anything else. Therefore, the Temperance energy, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, the flow, the protection. Okay. So let's go to the Uranus position. Your extreme areas of non-conformity. So that would be the 9 swords that we're talking about right now. Yeah, your unique, your extreme uniqueness, yes, and your childhood. Aquarius is very tied to childhood, happiness, energy, things that you were really into that you didn't necessarily get to do anything about, but maybe you did. Again, circuits. If there was any kind of circuitry you wanted to be involved with, if you wanted to get into mod synthesizers or you know, stuff like that. Be careful of people who try to milk your pity. Okay, so this is where we get into the interesting meaning. This card selection recalls a past life where you were physically enslaved or owned by another person or group. Your particular genius is an inordinately sensitive intuition that can be used for healing. You may be going through a period of necessary emotional distress. Try not to be so vulnerable. So there we have the situation of some kind with this Queen of Wands energy. The Queen of Wands that is controlled. The 7-7 of the absolutely the life you're meant to lead. But the Queen of Wands in reverse twice, being controlled. Now, if it's because that's what you're here to do, and you have to stick, like, if you're living a master life, a master number life, then there's no flexibility for that, except for these certain areas, right? Just like they're pointing out. Right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna skip over the speech that I've given for the other two readings where we get to this part. Where I feel like with Leo, I felt like people were pushing their charity onto Leo. When Leo didn't need charity more than, well, nobody does. They need partnerships, right? People often, well, I won't get into that speech. I said I wouldn't. But that would be that could easily be part of this experience as well. And coming into this independence, which is naturally you, versus what this life path put you in that made you vulnerable to the opinions and actions of others, because they didn't know what was going on. They don't know how to recognize a master life path, someone who's living one, unless they are another master number that had to find out, that is on the path to finding out. So I recommend Roshan Sylvia, her channel, and she has videos on the master number 11, master number 22, and master number 33. I'm a 33, so is she. She subscribes to karma. I don't. I believe in it, but I don't agree with it. Not that I can dismiss it by disagreeing with it. I'm just not looking to fulfill it. I acknowledge it and I'm fighting with it. And sometimes it can work, but by and large, children don't deserve to be trafficked. Not even by and large. Children nobody deserves to be trafficked. Nobody deserves, well, this whole life-death cycle anyway. Blah, 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 blah. Karma can't explain that to me in a satisfactory way. So, but the prison planet system, the Naga, no. So let's go to the Pluto position, the final position, which would be where I'd put your professional guides for me, or your Pluto placements. That's just a straight up channeling understanding from my guides, or from Kali. Now's the time to get in touch with your more primitive and direct feelings. This card position shows a need for a period of self-nurturing. You have a poetic, exquisitely sensitive imagination. You yearn for a life of beauty and elegance. It's likely that you're experiencing problems with early attachments or outworn attitudes. Family life demands your attention, but take time to nourish the child within. Obviously. Here we go with that, y'all, that repeat energy. So, especially since we have to successfully bridge this gap. And I think I've actually talked myself into a headache, so I won't talk you into one any more than I have to. Let's go and end. I will put any other placements in here. So the Four of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles. The Two of Wands we know, but I'll add that. Done the Ace of Swords. I'll do the Six of Cups. I'll put the Nakshatra, the Pada information that matches them in the description. And remember the emphasis, because I'm remembering it now that I'm looking at this card going, right. Yes. Now what? Can we see what's down there? There's a bull, isn't there? And a bridge. Okay. The creative power. The mind often wants to see and know exactly what's around the corner. But to manifest, we have to give up certainty and embrace the creative process. Choosing to live creatively will bring you more joy and success than any amount of certainty ever could. Okay, so how much of this is about being an entrepreneur or stepping into, yeah, you've created something and